So right now I'm talking with Carlos, and Carlos is a student at an online 2-year program. He's already completed one program here in Brazoria County, and he's been thinking about doing a 4-year program at some point in the future. So we've discussed a number of times whether or not going to school is cost efficient, what the educational experience is like. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are at high school looking at going to college or perhaps having completed 2 years thinking about going on. So we're going to kind of go over some of the basic areas of interest and see if we can perhaps add some helpful commentary. So Carlos, you want to go ahead and tell us just a little bit about yourself and we'll get started.
Right, right. Well, actually, I think you introduced me a little bit yourself, but that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, I went to the local community college, here in my area, and I graduated in 2018 of August. And I also went through K through 12 in my area, and just made the natural transition from going to from high school to a community college. And so I finished that, and then took a break for a little bit, took what was supposed to be a gap year, ended up being a little bit bigger of a gap. And so it turned into gap years. But I'm now taking online classes through a university in San Francisco. And I'm trying out this online program that they're offering. In the past, I've always experienced college, but my schooling was always in person for K through 12 and through community college. I had one class that was a hybrid, but even then, the majority of the class time was in person with the professor. So this online program is a new experience for me. So that's me, you know.
Okay. Um, you're obviously somebody who likes to learn, and I know you do a lot of learning apart from your classes. We talked about whether or not going to college was a good thing for people, or whether perhaps skipping college altogether might be an option. So, what do you think the benefits are from not going to college? Who can you see benefiting from just deciding that college isn't the route to go?
If you're not academically inclined, and if you from your high school experience, if you were not a person who did well on taking tests, or just had a tough time understanding subjects, and or had a tough time grasping concepts while in school, and you're making that decision whether or not to make the jump from high school to a 2 year or 4 year, um, it is okay to consider other options. If you just want to go straight into the workforce right after high school, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, you can go straight to the workforce, earn some money, however way you can, at 18. Typically, that's typically the age that students from high school graduate. And there are people out there willing to hire 18-year-olds. No problem. By the way, a lot of jobs actually do not require a bachelor's degrees or a bachelor or a 2 year degree. So there's what I'm saying is that there's a pool for applicants that just have a high school diploma. So don't let a degree, if it has it listed on it, don't let that stop you from applying anyways, because you never know if the company you're looking into is they're in a bind and they just need people, and they're willing to train and invest in you. But again, if you're not academically inclined, you're kind of iffy about college, and if the price is scaring you because of just how much it's costing students and the families that are supporting the students, then that's not to be thinking about and contemplating whether or not to go. That's not a bad thing. You're actually thinking. You're thinking, is this a good option? Will this play out, or will this not play out? And that's a lot of people don't think about the consequences about making the choice to go to college if one does. Also, there are benefits to going to college, but there's also side effects of going to college. Just like in any decision a person decides to make, there's going to be pros and cons to. So don't let it discourage you if you wanted to go to college, but after looking at the finances and see if that was possible or doable, decided to just go straight to the workforce, which is not a bad thing. Save up some cash. There's nothing wrong with saving some cash.
Yeah. I know some self-directed individuals that have made millions of dollars, literally made millions of dollars, and they've got no college at all. So they've just applied their skills. They've learned through their work experiences, and they've gone on to be very, very prosperous. So college isn't necessary in order to do well. And there are people that get married or have financial issues when they're 18, 19, 20, and maybe they have a family to take care of. So waiting a bit to get college experience isn't bad either, because people go to college at all different ages. You don't have to be in college at that age. So the work experience may be a better experience for a subset of people. It may really be the right thing for them to do. Who do you think might benefit from a 2-year program?
So, as somebody who might benefit from a 2-year program is somebody who is thinking about going to the 4-year, doesn't understand what they want to major in or what to, that because there's several different degrees out there for the 4-year. But a community college, if they decide to go a 2-year program at a community college, um, that could save them a lot of heartache from paying the university level tuition. And instead of paying the university level tuition, they would be paying the community college level tuition. So from a financial point of view, if you're somebody who's undecided on what they want to major in and just, have no clue about what it is that they're interested in, you're not in a bad place to be at college. However, the choice in the kind of college you decide to attend while still trying to figure yourself out, community college is a nice buffer for that.
Right.
Because it's just when you go to a 4-year and you're paying a chemistry class for that 4-year at that university, the price difference at a community college is just vast. It is completely different price. And so I felt comfortable going to the community college because I knew it wasn't gonna be hard on my bank account. Whereas I knew if I had transferred to the 4-year, and that's a lot of my peers did that in high school. They transferred straight to the 4-year. If they have the funds, if the student has the funds to go ahead and do that, and the family is supporting the student to make that possible, by all means go for it, because there is still value in the sense of you're going to that university and you're getting the university experience. It's just when I went to community college, I'm getting the community college experience. So that's my trade-off, is that I'm not going to football games. I'm just focusing on classes at a community college, whereas you're probably more inclined to be attached to the campus life and culture associated with, the football games, the tailgates, the meetups, the, all the jazz that comes with, going to a 4-year. So I did have a trade-off to take when I did go to community college. However, I will say, just because I went to a community college does not mean I did not have a bad experience at community college. I had a wonderful experience at community college. So again, because there was a benefit to choosing community college, and I benefited greatly from attending
So,
that. Go ahead.
yeah, there's also a subset of people who are going to benefit from having certain 2-year degrees that get them into a profession at a beginning level. You can do a 2-year nursing degree, for instance. There are 2-year police programs. The plants here use their 2-year programs to train people to work as operators and all that. So there are a number of 2-year plants, 2-year certificates or degrees that lead directly to employment. So the 2-year college experience may be best for a subset of people who are going to start in at a lower level in their profession and work their way up.
That is correct. The trades, there is a high income potential for going the trade route and pursuing that. And again, if you have that option and you decide that that's, the option for you, by all means go for it. Again, there's nothing wrong with taking that high paying job, saving it if you can, and if considering that over going to the traditional 4 year. There's no issue there. Um, so
Now, you mentioned that people who can afford to do a 4-year program and who have family support might want to consider it. How important is the college experience in your mind, the 4-year college experience?
right, okay, so because I decided to opt out of the 4 year college experience, I'm typically I'm talking to the student who's considering going straight to the 4 year right at high school, the traditional student. Um, because I decided not to opt out into that. Um, I did not participate in fraternities. I did not participate in sororities, Greek life. I understand that stuff exists, but I do want to keep in mind and kind of inform people that the point of going to college is to be a learned person, to go and learn and understand the subjects that are offered at the school. Doesn't mean you can't, have fun every now and then, but essentially you're there to get an education formally. You're there to get a formal education. I'd say that's the root of it. Um, depending on whichever college you go to.
Okay, and there are some professions that require a 4-year degree or even a master's level to get started with work. So if your heart is set on one of those positions, then you need to align yourself with a 4-year college and kind of move along in that general direction. Um, there are
Hmm.
yeah, a number of jobs that have a bachelor's as a entry level position. So for those jobs, to find a college that provides courses in that area and then to take those courses is probably advantageous. What what are the disadvantages of not going to college?
Not going to college. Okay, so from high school, if you've gone through K through 12, you've always had that group of students, people that are of similar age, throughout your life, throughout your high school career, throughout your elementary, middle school, and high school career. That goes away if you don't participate in higher education. That is you can take that as a con or you can take that as a pro. But what I'm saying is, typically your peer group starts to change. Um, my peer group did also change at community college, but as far as the age range, I was able to find people similar to my age. When you go and look for a job right after high school or whatever it is that you end up doing, you typically are just plumped in with whoever's out and doing that job and the coworkers you're with. It's whoever. I mean, you can still find it. Like if you go work at a pizza place, um, you work at Walmart, you know, the I want to say the like $9 an hour jobs, $10 an hour jobs. You can still find people your peer age, your peer group age still there. But if you're trying to take on a different job like working at the plants right after straight from high school, and it's possible. I've seen some people, just go straight to a career. Because some schools actually allow a program or a training to have that happen. It just depends on your school district if this apply. But again, you're just kind of thrust in and thrown into life. It's called, I want to say, the School of Hard Knocks. Just learning by just actually being out there. There's value in that, having life experience, making mistakes. Okay, that job didn't work out, or you may decide to move out and get your place. There's not there's value in that, and that you become your own person. You pack your bags, and then you learn to become an adult. So what I'm saying is there is a level of responsibility that comes into play when a person just decides to just go ahead and start life right at high school. Start their, outside of school life. So school of hard knocks. It's just not a bad school.
Yeah, critical thinking skills may be bypassed if you don't go to college at all. Sometimes you can get into a situation where you're never intellectually challenged and you never begin to think about why you're thinking about things. And overall, statistically, lifelong income may be considerably less for people who have not had any college. Now, there are super achievers, and they may, surpass even people that have gone to college. But in general, if you come out with a high school degree and don't pursue any further than that, it may affect your income. So those are a couple of disadvantages. What do you think about the disadvantages of a 2-year program?
So the disadvantages of a 2-year program is that depending on which 2-year program that you went to, you're kind of stuck with that. Whatever it is that you decided to get your 2-year degree in, you've specialized in that field, and that is what your degree is in. Or if it's, let's say you didn't get the degree, but you got the certificate in the program, like you went through a 2-year track, which it may or may not award you a degree, but it's designed to shoot you into an entry-level job. You are now specialized into that certain entry-level job. If it's welding or electrical, if you're an electrical worker, well, you've kind of like decided that this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do this for the time being. Like you run the risk of specializing into that at an early age, and which I wouldn't say is too much of a bad thing. It's just if you decide to stay there, that's your decision. You the only I also want to say is that you're sacrificing your time. You're sacrificing your time to specialize into that 2-year track, 2-year program, and if you were considering something else, like a 4-year track, a 4-year degree, then you may or may not have the credits necessary to complete that 4-year degree in the future. But you might have a big bank account because you decided to go to 2-year track. What I'm saying is you specialize into a job. You could save. If you're inclined to save, you can then go back to school and use that money to go back into school. So there's a pro in that, but typically people who once they get their first entry level job, they end up staying there. They end up, I'm comfortable, I make my money, and I got my apartment. I may have a kid, and they settle down. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that's the decision. That's a choice decision a person makes. Is that you run the risk of, well, I like the money, and I like my life, like where I'm at.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You may find that the 2-year program may be less academically rigorous as well. That isn't always the case, but it can be the case. So your educational experience is going to depend upon your being able to look at the coursework you want to accomplish and determining whether it's a good program or not. So that's fairly important. And again, if a 2-year program, you may lower your earning expectations as opposed to somebody who's been in a 4-year program. So what are the disadvantages to a 4-year program? What do you think?
The disadvantages of a 4-year program. Um, if you decide to go to a 4-year track and you're a person who's a maybe you don't have access to as many resources. If you're a person who decides to go to 4-year track but are limited in resources, you may run the risk of running into student loans to finance your schooling. Um, if the student didn't pursue any scholarships, um, chances are because of the cost, because of just how expensive it's gotten, um, financing your way to school is there's a high chance of that happening. But not it's not always the case, but majority of students end up with some level of debt that follows them after they graduate. And it's nice to know it's a good thing to know that student loan debt is one of the degrees. Student loan debt is one of the only kind of debt that you can't file for bankruptcy for. That's a major risk. So it's something that follows you. If you decide to do the student loans to do the 4-year track, um, you can also not graduate. You can climb the mountain and attempt to put the flagpole on top of the mountain, but at the very end, you can stumble, fall, and reverse and avalanche. I've seen it happen to some of my friends where, they pursued the 4-year and they ended up not getting it, but they have the student loans to show for it. And so, or they got caught up in the college experience, partying, drinking, they got distracted along the way and just didn't understand how to get undistracted. Um, and pursuing a 4-year degree, also the ideology that some of these universities um, instill in their students. There's dangers in that because there's consequences to ideas. Yeah. You're not with your parents. There's now it's good to have family support, but college, typically going to a 4-year, that's when a student is kind of like on their own for the first time. And so they're receptive and they're kind of like they're at the whim of the university. Go ahead.
If you don't choose your degree or your area carefully, and you don't network yourself into something along the way, you can find yourself with a college degree, a 4-year college degree, employed at Domino's, wondering what your next job's going to be. So even with a 4-year degree, it needs to be chosen carefully, and you need to make sure that there is a job waiting for you out there. You can't do basket weaving 101 and anticipate meaningful employment. So if you've accrued $40,000 or $60,000 worth of debt and you're making $10 an hour, you're in for a rougher ride than if you'd gotten a job where you were making 60,000, 70,000 a year, and had some potential for growing in your job. So it isn't just going to the 4-year degree. It's making a good solid plan about what you're going to do during that 4 years and what that degree is going to look like, and having some sense that that degree is actually wanted in the business world.
That is correct. If the degree that you get is not a marketable degree, again, that is another choice that the student makes, is that the kind of degree you get is going to also affect the job market for that degree. Some degrees are more valuable than others. If you decide to become an engineer and go through the STEM track, there are many companies and employers that are willing to pay high ticket for those bachelor's those students seeking a bachelor's degree and taking those STEM courses. If you're going to become an engineer, get an engineering degree. If you're going to become a lawyer, get a law degree. If you're going to get if you're going to go become a doctor, take all the necessary medical courses that will get you to become a doctor. Those are high-paying jobs, and typically a student who goes into debt and then gets an engineering, lawyer, or doctor degree, you know, they typically are able to bounce back and have that. They're able to cash flow that income to tackle the student loan debt that they received. But if you're the degree you chose is not marketable, yeah, you're right. You're gonna be in for a rough ride. It's gonna be hard to pay back all that student loan debt. Because it's, some degrees are worth more than others. It's just that's the sad reality.
Yeah. You've taken a lot of time during your time off from the 2-year program and re-enrolling in this second 2-year program to do studying. You want to talk a little bit about your personal ideas of educating yourself?
Yes. So, okay, there's nothing like going to the library and whatever subject that you're fascinated by, go to that library and look for all your best friends in that library, meaning the authors that are in that library. There are best friends out there waiting for you to be talked to. And there is nothing like picking up a book, learning the lessons, and learning the values and principles that the author has laid out for you in that book. If there's a certain subject that fascinates a student, you don't have to go to a college to go and learn it. You can go to whatever section. If it's anatomy that you're interested in, you can go pick up anatomy books at the local library. If there's if you're interested in business, you can self-educate yourself in the business section. Um, there's nothing like also apprenticing under a person, learning from other people who have actually done what it is that you're thinking about doing. There's value in being mentored, to seeking out a mentor and having a mentor teach you some tips and tricks and some mistakes that they have made so that you can avoid. Um, just if you can self-educate yourself, if you find yourself at a stumbling block that you can't get it at college, but you can go and get it at your local library or Amazon, if you can find the book on Amazon. Um, I want to say that education is free, but college is expensive.
Okay. And you also found an online 2-year program that was willing to give you a grant.
That is correct. Yes, yes. They gave me a grant. And so that I saw this as a no-brainer. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna try out your course. I'm gonna try out your courses and your degree program, and then by the end of it, if the chips fall into place, I will get a degree and a certificate. Because that's what it is, a degrees plus a certificate. And so
Mhm.
and that follows the rule that if you can find a way to finance it, if you can scholarship your way, if you can get grants, that money that you don't have to pay back to fund your education, by all means, take that opportunity and take advantage of it because opportunities come and go. But the key lesson here is that I was able to see how I was able to finance these classes and by the end of it, not pay very much or little at all, nothing at all. So, like I said, if you're considering any kind of college program, talk to the college and look at the scholarship resources that the college has, and then go outside and go find some private scholarships that, be a hunter, make the mad dash to go, you know, hunt for money, work odd jobs. There's nothing like getting a job and just, saving up but the school of hard knocks. And it's possible to go to school and get a job. There's nothing wrong with that either. And if you can, maybe go to school and get a job within that school. Even better because you'll be in the environment of the school and you'll be taking classes while you're still at the college and you're still within the campus life. So if you can't find the finances to fund whatever project that or you project college project that you want to do, find the resources and the funds to do it. Nobody's stopping you from searching for a job. Nobody's stopping you from working odd jobs. Nobody's telling you to go to college. Nobody put a gun to my head and told me that I need to go to college. And if you don't go to college, well, that'll be the end of you. No one told me that. College was a choice that I made, and my decision to take this online college courses, again, my decision. Um, I believe that I don't think college should be free. The price tag should be considered for every student because every student's particular financial situation is unique. And so the price tag will vary from student to student. And the student has to make the call whether that price tag is worth paying for. If not, then it's not the college for you. Choose a less expensive college. But keep in mind that you get what you pay for. You get what you
Yeah.
pay for.
I've noticed that some people fall into college. That is, you go to college because you feel like it's an expectation. I'm graduating from high school. I can go into the military or I can go to college, or if you're a girl, perhaps maybe it's not the same choice, but it's just kind of something that is coming up. But anybody who is going to be successful, I think before they do that, they need to look around at what sorts of jobs exist in the world, who does what. They need to figure out what kinds of jobs they're interested in, find out what the actual pay bracket is. What is it if you work in a McDonald's? What does that pay? If you work as a nurse, what does that pay? If you work as a consultant somewhere or as a doctor, what does that pay? You need to know in your head what the different rewards are for the education itself. And then if you have some sense of what you're interested in and what the income might be, you need to look then at the educational process and then figure out what that would look like and what that would actually cost. You don't want to get back, 10 cents on the dollar for what you're doing. You'd rather actually make money on it. So you need a
Yeah,
plan.
that is correct. You need a plan. You have to plan this out. Um, what is forgot what it was. The saying where if you don't have a foundation, if you build your foundation on sand and it's not going to be a very great foundation. But the point being is if you have a plan laid out and you follow the blueprint you need to be able to go back to the blueprint and have the blueprint save you from it, it's so that you don't go and do something nonchalantly and waste a lot of time and a lot of financial you're saving yourself a lot of financial headache by planning your college um whatever it is that whatever project you have to fund you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
It's just
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, just to sum things up then, um, college is expensive and it's not necessarily necessary. So anybody who is coming out of high school or anybody who's finishing up a 2-year degree or thinking about where they're going to go needs to realize that there are good options that don't entail going to college, but there are advantages to getting a 2-year degree if you have a reason to get it. And there are advantages to get a 4-year degree if you have a reason to get it. So schooling requires forethought and some intention as opposed to something that one does just to do.
Hmm. Another one neat trick to do that I had somebody point out to me in the past is if you look at the job descriptions for some of these high-paying jobs and just look at the responsibilities and the level of the level of responsibility that these high-paying jobs have, it will give you an idea about the education that's necessary, the the amount of stress level that a person may need to take on to satisfy that high-paying job. But I would also recommend to look at the entry-level jobs as well. The entry-level jobs versus the high-paying, the $200,000 jobs, the job description for that one versus the job description for a $50,000 job. Um, you look at those job descriptions and then you find out what's required of them. And then you see if that is something that may interest you, but that the things that companies are looking for in a person who is a job seeker, the criteria. There's no harm in looking at what's expected from some of these employers and companies. Um, because it's hard to beat that guy with 10, 20 years of experience, but he's a master in his industry. You know, there's a reason they pay 200,000, $400,000 to these individuals who understand the ins and outs of the industry. They've been there longer and they know how to jump through the hoops to make things happen.
Yeah. Okay. Is any final thoughts as we close up?
Let me see. Yeah. But there's one other resource that I want to say that is very beneficial to today's modern age is we have the internet. The internet has displaced a lot of jobs, and it's its own library. There's YouTube University. If you want to learn something, you can go watch a YouTube video about how to do a certain task, how to accomplish a certain, how to fix your car, how to run a shop. Um, And not only that, but I've there's a college that's giving out free courses. It's called Hisdale College. They're free, but they do ask for donation, and that's how they keep them free. But what I'm saying is, if you have access to an internet connection and a laptop, by all means, the internet is at your fingertips. The internet, the laptops, the phones, the smartphones, the iPads. These are technologies of this age that didn't exist 20 years ago, or they weren't as abundant as they are now. So I want to say for my generation, the younger generation, there's probably more resources available to you than there was to generations prior, but it's a matter of you picking up those resources and making use of
them. Okay. All right. Thank you for your time. And perhaps we'll do this again at some point. All right.
All right. I enjoyed this. Thank you very much.
Okay. And